Hey everybody, welcome to McFarland Minutes. I'm Natalie McFarland, founder and president of McFarland Productions, director at Off Your Rocker Films, and your host. In these episodes, you can expect deleted scenes, in-depth campaign reviews, project highlights, marketing concepts, book reviews, and a deep dive into the creative process at Off Your Rocker Films. We'll also be covering invaluable lessons on mentorship, leadership, and the business of it all. We are so excited to be releasing our episodes every Sunday as your soft launch to Monday. Hey everybody, welcome to McFarland Minutes, your soft launch to Monday. Today, we get to celebrate another 100-year-old brand organization who does a ton in Oregon agriculture. And my good friend Amanda Hoey is here with us. And she is the CEO of Oregon Wheat Growers League. And they are celebrating 100 years. That is super special. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me. 100 years is quite a marker for us as we look back at the vision our folks had to start the league in 1926. So appreciate being here.
Yeah, I actually was searching some various things, looking for some 100-year-old brands and things like that, and I actually saw it on like a random AI generated list. It's like Oregon Wheat Growers League. I'm like, wait a minute, how do I already know them? Why don't we have them on the podcast? So I was super excited to discover that. I didn't realize that Oregon Wheat had been around for so long. Will you give us just kind of an overview of Oregon Wheat and what all you guys are doing and how that impacts the industry?
Certainly. So the Oregon Wheat Growers League is celebrating its 100th year. So 1926, we had a group of wheat producers come together in the town of Morrow, Oregon. And at the time, they were dealing with many of the same challenges that we're dealing with today, which were some, low commodity prices and transportation issues, weed management, disease management issues within fields. And the conversation took them to a place to say we can be a lot more effective in this collaborative approach. And they formed the Oregon Wheat Growers League. And subsequent to that, formed the Oregon Wheat Commission. So I serve as the CEO for both of those entities and then created the Oregon Wheat Foundation. So in partnership, those all work to serve our wheat producers across the state, roughly 2,000 of those in the state of Oregon. And the league does a lot on the grower education and advocacy side, and the commission does a lot on the market development and research support side. So a good partnership between the entities and continued on until today.
Nice. And the foundation side does some stuff with scholarships and things like that. Is that correct?
We do. So, the foundation formed in 1980, and its primary purpose is supporting that next generation of industry leadership, and it does it in a few ways. Probably the signature component of that is our scholarship program. So currently we offer 12 $2,000 scholarships every year to graduating high school seniors. But the foundation also does additional leadership development in supporting a grower and going to Washington, D.C. each year, and also doing some work with funding ag in the classrooms, ag education work, and then engaging with farmers ending hunger to support addressing hunger within our own communities.
Yeah, that's really cool. I've really enjoyed over the years working with you guys, just seeing all the facets that you have impact on in the state of Oregon, but also a little bit further than that. It seems you guys seem to stretch your boundaries just a little bit, which is a great thing. But let's kind of take a step back. I would love to just kind of intro you. You have a very cool background. Obviously, ag's a big part of that. Can you just kind of give us an Amanda bio?
Yeah. Ag is definitely at the base of that. So my family farms wheat, and so I grew up on a dryland wheat farm in north central Oregon, one that my mother and father operated, and now my brother. We've had the good fortune that he was willing to come and take that on. He's a really good farmer, and as it turns out, I'm not a really good mechanic. I can do a lot of the things. That's not my skill set, and so we've got a good family operation there. It's you learn to be all things on a farm. So I left for university, came back to work in economic development and was there for about a decade and a half and doing some economic development work and business financing and infrastructure development on a bi-state entity before the position at Oregon Wheat opened up, and just seemed to be a really natural fit to be able to provide support into an industry that not only I have direct family ties into, but also we're growing some of the expertise in providing service to our wheat producers. So the nice part there is any silly question I can always ask my brother and say, I know this seems silly, but complex ones can answer too. So,
Yeah, yeah. Use the family as the resource there. It's always helpful to have somebody for that, for sure. How long or what year did you join Wheat
I
Growers?
joined the organization in 2020. So it's been 60.
That's right. I knew it had been a while. I just couldn't remember about when it was, but yeah. Okay, so Oregon Wheat turns 100, Oregon Wheat Growers League. What are some of the things that you guys have planned for the year to celebrate such a
Yeah,
marker?
so we've got a couple of different events that are scheduled, and then we also have some collaborative partnerships that we had put in place in advance of this event. So the first one that actually executed on was a state designation of February 11th as Oregon Today. We got that passed through the Oregon State Legislature last year, House Concurrent Resolution 12.
Oh, cool.
And yeah,
That's awesome. The beef industry got the official state steak named last year. So we have a wheat day and a
we can
state
get
steak.
some
I love it.
steak
Look at
and
that.
bread. We can just, have a full Oregon.
Oh man, that sounds like a good dinner to me.
Uh, now I'm hungry. We need to have a break to enjoy
Sorry.
some.
Me too.
Um,
Yeah. It's gonna have to be dinner or
Yes.
something pretty
But
soon.
yeah, Oregon agriculture is, I mean, it's amazing what we produce in the States and the quality that we do because most of our wheat is exported. It's that high quality that's desired by our markets around the world. But going back to, yes, HCR 12 designated our official state designation on. So we got that signed, and that will lead us into February 11th this year. We'll have growers at the state capitol, and we'll have a celebration event where we traditionally will cut a cake in the rotunda and celebrate wheat growers and Oregon at that time. We'll do our award on our state legislator that we had given our Friend of Oregon Wheat for this last year. And then we'll have a reception that evening as well. So, a good opportunity for growers during a short legislative session to be able to talk about issues that are prominent to them in terms of what's been challenging over the past 100 years to get to stay in business and what's missing.
And what's gonna be hopefully less challenging for the next
That would be
100.
nice. That would be nice. I think that everybody deserves a little bit of a break there. So
Yeah.
so that's the first event that we have formally. And then we'll roll into the next one in June is typically when we do partnerships with our universities in field days. So getting out to
Cool.
see new varieties, getting out to hear from our researchers about investments that have been made into opportunities for production practices that can help with sustainability. And this year, what we will do is partner a 100-year celebration with our growers in Morrow, so where we started.
Cool.
It's
Awesome.
kind of like go back to your roots, really. And
Yeah.
there's
Not a ton. I don't know. Probably few people have like been to Morrow specifically. So it's pretty cool that being able to celebrate that back in little tiny
in
Morrow.
our
I think
rural
that's
places
pretty
and
cool.
where it starts, absolutely. So we will be back there. We'll have the Sherman Station field days that morning, and then we'll have our events in the afternoon and evening. And we'll do a few more of our awardees at that event. So some that have been instrumental in our success over the last 100 years, and we'll recognize our leadership and presidents because there's been a lot of vision to get us from that first meeting in Morrow to this meeting in Morrow.
Yes, there has. Yes,
Yeah.
there has. And then you said there's a couple of events you're working on later on in the year. Don't know how much you can share about the one in the
The one
fall.
in the fall is kind of the one that's still in the works, and part of that is we do a lot and in our in wheats that is export focused and focused trade
Mm-hmm.
outside of Oregon. And so we really do want to ensure that we really recognize the partnerships that we have beyond the industry that is here within Oregon. And so we'll be working one for the fall, kind of a teaser on things yet to come. And
Yeah, yeah. When
yeah,
we'll have to share
and have
it.
joy and celebrate with us too.
There we go. I like it. Yeah, we'll be there. Count us in. And then convention. You guys do convention every year, right? Tell us a little bit about convention, and then what are you guys doing? Maybe that's a little different or special for the
Yeah,
100 year.
so convention is our annual opportunity to get our wheat producers together to learn from each other, to learn from our Pacific Northwest states, and from a variety of speakers. So that typically will happen in November each year. And this year we're going to be partnered with the Washington Association of Wheat Growers. So we'll have that cross-state partnership and collaboration, and we'll be hosting it in the Tri-Cities. So a space that is accessible for growers to get to for some of that educational content and that networking. And this one, we had originally hoped to host it in Pendleton. The location won't be ready until next year, so just
Shoot.
but it'll give us an opportunity to really partner well with our Washington folks because a lot of the
Yeah.
benefit is having growers that learn from each other and certainly across state lines is helpful.
How long ago did Washington establish their growers association? Do you know?
That's a good.
That was a
That's,
pop quiz.
yeah,
Sorry, I was
I
just
don't
curious.
know for them. I will say that Oregon is the oldest commodity organization for wheat in the nation,
Oh,
um,
cool.
but I don't know when our partner.
When they were established. Yeah, that's pretty interesting to know that Oregon's the oldest, though. Oregon, I don't know that like people immediately go, Oregon, wheat, so like it's just such a unique growing climates, plural, because it's so different as you cross the state. But that's pretty cool. I didn't realize that Oregon was the oldest one. You're also doing collaborations with a couple of companies that are special to the 100 year. Can you talk about those
Yes,
yet?
so we probably two collaborations that we've secured and have in process. The first one will be well known for Oregon and certainly our location in Pendleton. We worked with the Pendleton Woolen Mills Unlimited Edition Oregon Wheat Blanket. So work through a design on that is a wheat motif with kind of the geometric shapes that you would think about when you think of the Pendleton blankets and that wool wheat, and a really good product at the end of the day. So it's a limited edition, which we have to have so many of them, but the benefit just
Yeah.
keeps it special for 100 years. So it is celebrating that 100 years of Oregon wheat and a really unique partnership that Pendleton Woolen Mills allows folks to do to create that kind of a product. So we do have those ones. We're already about 50% sold of them already, which is great.
I better order one for you from you before we get off this
Make
call.
sure you get yours in. But yeah, they really nicely, and so we have those available here for our celebration through the year. And then the other collaboration that we did was a 100-year celebration for a wheat whiskey, and
Oh,
that is
cool.
with Stein Distillery out of Joseph.
Okay,
They
cool.
had basically allowed our board to select a barrel. And I don't know enough about whiskeys that I would be the one to talk on this one. It was it was well tasted.
I feel like the board might have done quite a lot of research on
They
that
put
one.
in the work, I think. They put
Yeah, yeah. I would have for sure.
uh,
Twist my arm to put me through it, but yeah, for
a
sure.
fun one, and it'll be available through through liquor stores through that channel. But it is nice to then have something that is made from a wheat product, from wheat in Oregon, and we often think of the things like breads and pastas and that type, but we also have wheat whiskey.
Oh man, I mean, I think someone's gonna be cozy with a bottle of whiskey and a blanket at the same time, thinking about Oregon wheat. That's pretty fun. What is it like being the CEO of an organization that's turning 100 years? Is that special to you, particularly coming from the industry growing up?
It really is special, and we did go through as well our revised strategic plan this last year, and
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing how much is the same in terms of like the dedication of people within our industry was really apparent when we look back at the outset and where we are today,
Yeah.
and how much has changed in that
Yeah. Technology primarily, probably.
huge one, and how that's implemented in the field, and what we can do in terms of precision agriculture and what we can actually farm in in a manner that will allow us to continue to do so for centuries to come. So, the organization is, as I look back and see what folks had invested at the outset, not knowing what would come as a result, they were really focused into that next generation. And so I think as we reflect on that and make this transition point, it's really that how do we put in place the same kind of mechanisms so that the next generations of wheat producers, of Oregon wheat CEOs, of Oregon wheat presidents will be able to look back and say, we had a great vision at the time, and here's how it's translated into the success of folks being able to continue to be in business and continue to be farming and supporting rural communities in a very real sense.
Yeah, for sure. I think the only thing, that we really need to invent in the next 100 years is how to control the timing and quantity of rain would really help us out.
Uh, yeah, you're speaking to the dryland base.
I know. In our business, I always joke that if I had a time machine or a cloning machine, I could really get a lot done. I think in the wheat
You
industry, if
did
I could
pretty
just tell
much.
the rain when to do it, that'd be great.
Yeah, um, there's a lot of things that are outside of wheat producers' control, um, and the one factor that we've got really great soils, we've got really great varieties, but it's every year it depends on how much and when it rains.
Yeah. I think something that I've always admired about Oregon Wheat or some of the other partnerships that you guys have, or the people that you end up working with, like Oregon State University and their research teams and things like that. I just find that so interesting that there's such a good partnership between the two and so much research being done. Can you talk some about just how you work with organizations like Oregon State? There may be others, but how that kind of benefits the wheat growers?
Yeah, so I would say anytime I look at a partnership, it kind of magnifies the opportunity for us to be effective. And even at the establishment, so the creation of the league was part of a conference that was being done in partnership with Oregon State University Extension. So even from our earliest years, there is that engagement. But basically every bushel of wheat that is produced in essence, we're taxing ourselves. So we are taxing every bushel to put into a collective approach that funds market development, funds research, and then funds the grower education work. And on the market side, which we are pretty heavily into the international side, we work with U.S. Wheat Associates with offices all around the world. And one of those the first of those that Oregon Wheat established was in Tokyo. So we'll have our 70 year for the Tokyo office that eventually became US Wheat here this year as well. But the membership
Very
allows
cool.
us to be effective in markets that we can't otherwise be in. And then similarly on the research side of things, that's where we've got some really passionate and dedicated individuals. Um, if I want to talk about a pest, a disease, a weed, weed development, we
Drought tolerance, whatever it is.
probably have multiple hours of conversations on things where it's really a dedicated and talented individual set that we have that supports the wheat producers and being able to think about how to support long term. So we invest about $1 million each year of producer funds into core research programs and leverage that through other sources. But as we look at that collective, it's clearly been something that's really important to wheat producers to think about the future and those investments, mostly with Oregon State University as the land grant university, but we also work with Washington State University, Western Wheat Quality Lab, and a variety of other folks.
Yeah, yeah. As a Oregon State Beaver alumni, I obviously am a fan of any time I get to see OSU involved in ag. So go Beavs a little bit right there. But something else that I think Oregon Wheat does really well, and this is more on your communication side, is you guys have that great magazine that you put out. What spurred the magazine? How does that help you guys? How does doing a print magazine, that's not a minor undertaking, but how does that help Oregon Wheat as an organization, particularly as being a member
And
organization?
I appreciate that as a communications related, you know how much work some of these
Oh,
pieces.
so much work. Yeah. So print at all is a
Blueprint.
ton of work.
Yes, so we do a couple of different publications. We have a newsletter that comes out twice per month that is just for our members, and that has in it really timely information, whether that's related to federal or state policies or changes or things that our growers should be aware of, updates and research. All of that comes within that newsletter and a member-focused communication stream. And then on
Sure.
top of that, we do every other month the Oregon Wheat Magazine. And that one reaches a broader spectrum of folks. It certainly reaches our producer members, but also interested parties outside of within our industry. And it allows us to share messages about what is impacting wheat within the year, and some of the work that we're doing as we look forward. So each edition will have an article from our president for the Oregon Wheat Growers League, from our commission chair, from myself, and we'll always have an article from one of our researchers in there. And then
Cool.
everything else is dynamic content that relates to the activities that we're doing. So typically we'll see something around market development. So it's a really great opportunity to think about where is wheat headed and why,
Mm-hmm.
as well as from our national association to be talking about what's happening in terms of the programmatic aspect of how wheat producers are changing in some of their practices. So it is.
Yeah, that's a heck of an undertaking. Every other month some people be like, "Well, it's just other other month." it feels like it's 2 days away when you're on a print deadline. It's not an easy thing to keep up with at
Well, the
all.
funny thing you ask now because our February magazine we just wrapped up, and so I just got um, our layout. I'm reviewing that, and then
Proof
I think
for
it's
it.
next week
Yeah.
that our April content is due. So it's like always
That sounds
something.
right.
Yes.
Yeah, that
Um,
sounds right for sure. Yeah. Um, are there other events or organizations that Oregon Wheat either goes and has a booth at or tries to speak at? What are some of the other ways that Oregon Wheat as an organization tries to expand its
Yeah,
reach?
so most of our Reach Expand is in partnership with other entities, and a lot of that is with US Weed Associates as we look at our markets. So we do have teams that we engage in going out for market development, as well as we host teams in. And and so we're really focused into some of that work in terms of what is ultimately customer engagement activity. And then on the local side of things, we rely on our presidents and leadership for interactions within communities. So whether that's a presentation at a local Rotary group or kind of a booth at a county fair, there's a whole wide range of them. Uh, what I will say
Sure.
is this last year, we restarted through the foundation the Oregon Wheat Baking Contest. So we
Ooh, can I be a judge? Can I just sign
I,
up right
I
now?
know. And the recipe this year will be a cake recipe. I saw a look at it and I thought, oof, I'm gonna have to test that one out a couple of times just to make sure.
Yeah, I just need to make sure.
So we have those in a started in 4 counties to restart that. One of our foundation board members and his wife said, we used to do this. Let's get it restarted, and just in time to be ready for 100 years too. So we have
Yeah, how
yeah a fun
fun.
one that is out there. It's I think we added a yeah.
The resurgence of bread
Mhm.
baking on social media could really, that and this could be
Yes.
friends.
It's that
For
that
sure.
pandemic time where folks were cooped up a bit more in their house
Yeah.
and said, "What do I
They're like, you know what I think I can keep alive now?
shower?"
Sourdough.
Yeah.
I haven't quite talked myself into that, but my family likes to make it's a flatbread. It's called
Yeah.
lepenya. It's a Hungarian flatbread. Anyway, I would maybe Natalie's gonna enter with some lepenya
Yeah.
this year into this
Yeah.
baking contest.
I'm your taste tester. Yeah.
uh,
We'll run it by.
Perfect. I'll make you an extra batch if you're a judge. Just kidding. So, how can somebody support Oregon Wheat that maybe is not necessarily a wheat producer themselves? Maybe they're a producer of something else or involved in ag in general. How can somebody support
Yeah,
Oregon Wheat?
I think certainly, and if for those that are within the ag industry, we all work together, especially associations, to be able to share common messaging, even if it's an issue that is fairly particular to wheat. The same type of concern is going to be seen across a number of different associations, and right now a lot of that is the markets and price considerations, where we're fairly well
Sure.
upside down and what it costs to produce a product versus what we're receiving. So I think that that collaboration is certainly an element that is important. And for those that are outside of Oregon Wheat, just learning and understanding a little bit more about the industry and about what it takes to produce wheat is a really great way to start. And so we've got our website that gives some information about wheat production, talking with the local farmer to really understand what it takes to produce the bushels that go into those loaves of bread is probably a really great way to engage with the industry and understand what is necessary, especially as we think about like the power that we have as individuals to affect change within policies and other things. Understanding the industry is probably the first start on that one.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's so much to learn about any commodity production, but wheat is one that is more complex than I had realized before I really got to working with you guys pretty closely, developing videos and things like that. You know, I got to learn a lot, and yeah, certainly lots of facets that go into that. Well, I super appreciate you coming on. I'm so excited for you guys' 100 year. That is a huge marker. That's a big accomplishment for any organization to make it to 100 years. So congratulations on that. We will drop any links, so like maybe some information for Oregon Wheat Day, and some other things there on the site, and of course some information about Oregon wheat in general. But where should they reach out if they have questions or want to follow Oregon Wheat? Where's the best way to follow you?
So we do have active social media on both Facebook and Instagram. That's a quick way to see through the season what's happening and changing in the field and track our activities. So on a social side, those are two sites that are easy to connect into. And our website as well, owgl.org, allows folks to catch up on the latest news and what's happening within the industry if you're not a social media connected person.
Awesome. I mean, some days I wish I was not a social media connected person, you know, love hate relationship. But thank you, Amanda. Super appreciate your time. And glad we were able to help you celebrate just a little bit on the
Yeah, we'll
100 year.
raise cheers to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.